to start our meeting, our regular meeting for today, Wednesday, May 5th. This meeting is held via teleconference Zoom, no physical meeting space. And you can watch this either Facebook or through YouTube or web streaming. Oral public comments may be provided live during the Community Advisory Commission meeting by first registering for the Zoom meeting in advance by providing email address and a name. All comments provided shall be limited to 3 minutes or less as determined by the chair. All members of the public will be limited to 1 comment per agenda item and 1 comment for non-agenda items. The online written comment form previously used is no longer available for public comment. We are going to call to order the meeting, and we're going to go for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Cavita, do you want to have the honor of making the pledge for the allegiance for us?
And just as a reminder, if we could please wait until the flag comes up before starting. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to, it's nice to see most of you present. I'm going to do the roll call. Just going to go in order with the list here. This is probably not the best way of doing it, but I am present. Should not be the first, but I'm just going through the list and I don't forget to add my name to it. Next one is Commissioner Van Land.
I am here.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Thelma Batillo.
I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosario.
I'm here.
Commissioner Gandhi. Michelle.
Yeah, I'm here. Are you able to hear me?
Thank you very much. Commissioners Eileen Song.
Present.
And we have 6 members. Is Commissioner Casanova present? No. Commissioner Cavira?
Here.
Thank you. Because of the number of members, we will seat Commissioner Zridar in as a voting member. This will be the seating of the alternates. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We will go for the approval of the agenda for May 5th. Any motion to approve the agenda for today?
This is Commissioner Gandhi. I make a motion to approve the agenda for May 5th, 2021.
Thank you very much. Anyone who is going to want to second?
I'm
Commissioner
second.
Rosario, thank you. Commissioner Trump, we're voting now.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Batillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Zon,
Yes.
and Commissioner Zridar.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. The agenda has been approved. We're going to go for the approval of the meeting minutes from April 19.
I would like to make a
Those
motion
were-
to
Thank you.
approve the meeting minutes for April 19, 2021.
Thank you, Commissioner Lantron. Anyone would second the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Who said that? Sorry.
It's me. Eileen.
Oh, I think sorry, Lee. Thank you very much. Commissioner Batillo. We're voting now.
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Rosario.
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Gandhi.
Yes.
Commissioner Rita.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. The meeting minutes from April 19 has been approved. Thank you. So now let's continue with the agenda. Public forum. Interest public members may provide comments to the commission on any subject not on the agenda via Zoom. Commenters may state their name and address for the record and shall limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less as determined by the chair. As an unagendized item, no response is required of the commission or city staff. However, the commission may request the staff to agendize the item for a future meeting. Do we have any members of the public?
I see no hands raised in the Zoom for public comments at this time.
Thank you very much. Let's go to announcements.
There are no announcements at this time.
Thank you. Let's go to number 9, business items. Community engagement on affordable housing and building safety month.
Thank you, Chair. So as you are aware, we are in Affordable Housing and Building Safety Month, as is recognized by Milpitas. So what the staff has put together a little presentation to involve you, the commissioners, the community, and our building safety and housing team. So you can learn more about affordable housing and building safety programs in the city. So with that, I will give me a minute here to just get the presentation up and bring our attendees up as well.
Thank you.
IT, if you can make me a co-host, that would be appreciated so I can get the attendees in.
Done. You are a co-host now, Robert.
Thank you very much. So I am bringing in members of our building safety team. That's Bill Todd, our building official, Zulema Maji, who is our senior code enforcement specialist, and Adam Marcus, who is somewhat new to our housing team about a year ago. And I don't know if I think we brought him on earlier, and we just kind of wanted to reintroduce you to our team. So with that, I'm almost done here. I think we have everybody on. So let me just get this presentation up and we'll get going. All right. I think you could see the presentation. I'll just make it full screen and let me know when that hits.
Yes.
Wonderful. I will turn it over to Sharon. Go. She will start the presentation.
Thank you, Robert. You can go to the first slide. So Good evening, council member, commissioners, and members of the community. Sharon Glory, Director of Building Safety and Housing. And as Robert mentioned, we have several members from our department here tonight. With Housing Manager Adam Marcus, Bill Todd, Building Official, and Senior Code Enforcement Officer Zola Mamachi. So you hear from them later. We're going to share with you some of our affordable housing initiatives and best home safety practices. So in the city of Milpitas, the month of May is recognized as Affordable Housing Building Safety Month. At the April 20th City Council meeting, the mayor, on behalf of the City Council, proclaimed the month of May 2021 as Affordable Housing Building Safety Month. And as we have experienced this past year during this pandemic, a safe, stable, and affordable home has become more important than ever. In Santa Clara County, the month of May is recognized as Affordable Housing Month by SV at Home. The theme this year is Silicon Valley is Home, where we want all our neighbors to have access to a secure, safe, and affordable home. And you can visit the SV at Home website that you see on the slide there to find out about a lot of the events that's being held in the month of May that's related to affordable housing. And nationally, Building Safety Month is celebrated by the International Code Council. And May 2021 is celebrated as the 41st Annual Building Safety Month. The theme this year is Prevent, Prepare, Protect, Building Code Safe. And this is to recognize that our community's strength depends on the safety and economic value of the homes and buildings that serve our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of disaster. And if you visit the ICC SAFE website that you see on the screen, you'll find out many resources related to building safety. And to raise awareness and to activate our community, we're hosting 2 virtual events this month. So tonight is the joint community engagement with the Community Advisory Commission. On May 25th, we'll be partnering with our 2 nonprofit partners to conduct a housing resources and rent relief webinar. There'll be more information about that on another slide later. So now I'm going to turn this over to Adam, our housing manager.
Thank you, Sharon, and good evening, council member and commissioners. My name is Adam Marcus. It's good to see. I know I've met a few of you, and for those I haven't met, nice to virtually meet you. Tonight, I'm going to talk about some of the initiatives that the housing team is working on, of course, in partnership in many cases with other departments and with other agencies and nonprofits. It takes a team. So here we go. The first one we'd like to talk about tonight is the Affordable Housing Ordinance. For those of you who haven't heard of that, it's a policy the city created back in June of 2018. The purpose of the ordinance is to make sure that market rate housing projects that are with 10 or more units are also building and providing affordable housing along with the market rate housing. And generally the way it works is a developer has to build a certain amount of units along with the market rate units. There are, in some cases, ways for developers to build off-site or to pay a fee, but that must be approved by city council. Non-residential projects, so like offices and retail, they don't have to build housing, but they do have to pay fees. And following recent council direction, staff is currently exploring the removal of the in lieu fee option for multifamily ownership projects, just ownership projects, to help ensure that more units are built as part of the market rate projects rather than collecting in lieu fees. Staff is also exploring minor changes to the ordinance, cleanup changes to help clarify a few things and help, and also we're writing detailed administrative guidelines that help developers understand the program so that there's more predictability and they can plan accordingly. We as staff intend to begin outreach very soon, probably this summer, as soon as we get a few things prepared, and that discussion will commence. Next slide. The next project I'd like to talk about is the assessment of fair housing. It's a 5-year plan that is meant to proactively combat discrimination and to increase access to opportunity, to safe neighborhoods, affordable homes near jobs, near good schools, access to healthcare, access to parks, regardless of your income, your race, your gender, and other protected class characteristics. This is a plan that's required now under California state law. It's going to be part of our housing element update, which I'll talk about next, but it also satisfies some federal requirements as well, because we do receive CDBG dollars, as you heard, I think, in your last meeting. So the assessment of fair housing will include a lot of community engagement, as well as some analysis of demographic information. We'll be looking at our past plan, which was called an analysis of impediments to fair housing. I know it's a lot of jargon, but it was our last plan. And it'll be looking to set new goals and priorities for action to address some of the issues that may exist. And similarly, outreach for this project will begin in summer as well. Next slide. Some of you may have heard of a housing element. It is a chapter in our general plan, and we are required to update it every 8 years. Every city and county in California must do this. And over the next year and a half, the city and its consultants will be working on this major plan update. And this covers the years 2023 to 2031. And some of the questions that a housing element is meant to answer are as follows. What are the housing needs for all income levels in Milpitas? What programs, policies have been working or not working in Milpitas? What are the constraints to building housing in Milpitas? Where should Milpitas plan for nearly 6,700 new housing units? And I'll talk about that number in a minute. And what new housing programs or policies are needed in Milpitas? We will begin community outreach in the late summer and fall of this year and continue that throughout 2021. The updated housing plan is due to the state in January of 2023, and it must be certified by the state. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about that number I mentioned. So as part of the housing element, we have to plan for our regional housing needs allocation, which is basically our housing goal. So we know that this is a special housing element, unlike any other we've done before, because we have a long-term housing shortage in California, and recent state law changes are pushing all cities and counties to plan for much more housing than in previous years. This slide helps us understand exactly how much more housing Milpitas will have to plan for. As you can see, Milpitas needs to plan for more than twice as many housing units as in the previous cycle. This allocation of housing was based on a regional process. So all of the cities and counties in the Bay Area through ABAG and MTC over the last year have been going over this. And it had to balance a lot of things. It had to balance reducing traffic and air pollution, building near transit and jobs, preserving open space and farmland, not building in wildfire hazard zones, preventing displacement, and of course, increasing access to opportunity areas for low and moderate income people. So a lot of people ask, why such a big number? And it's a complicated question, but it's because there's been a long time shortage, and we can't build out anymore. We have to build up in the Bay Area at large. There's really just not a lot of space left. Next slide. And we have two slides here where we'll talk a little about landlord, tenant and landlord programs. The first one, of course, is near and dear to our heart. It's our own rent relief program, which is one of the first, or might have been the first actually, to be started in response to creating flexible emergency assistance for people experiencing housing emergencies. Eligible recipients in the program continues to run. Eligible recipients include MUSD students and families experiencing homelessness, seniors, persons with disabilities, victims of domestic violence seeking to relocate, emancipated foster youth and unaccompanied minors, individuals living in subsidized housing, and others on a case-by-case basis. The assistance up to $5,000 per year per household can be used for rent, for deposit, for emergency hardship, eviction prevention, relocation, child and family homelessness relief, as well as for Section 8 good faith deposits. Our program administrator and partner, Silicon Valley Independent Living Center, is running the program on our behalf. And if you know anybody who may need this assistance, please make sure they have this contact information. Thank you. Next slide. A few other notable programs for tenants and landlords is it's a very unique time, a very challenging time right now. Some of you may have heard that the state has passed some laws recently to address some of the housing, I guess the threat of evictions of people losing their housing because they've either lost their job or have reduced income. So the state has protections against eviction through the end of June. However, tenants have to take action. So there's certain things you have to do in order to be protected under that state law. The state also offers its own rent assistance, but landlords do have to take advantage of that. So it requires both landlord and tenant participation. And you can find out more information about both of those programs at the website on the screen. As you may recall, Milpitas also has a rent review ordinance that's administered by Project Sentinel, which is intended to help resolve rent disputes between landlords and tenants. It requires the landlord to provide notice when they're increasing rents, and they have to make sure that tenants are aware of Milpitas's rent review program. It limits rent increases to once per year. It applies to most units, most older units, but not to school dormitories, newer housing, single families or duplexes. And to request assistance through this program and mediation between landlord and tenant, please do direct folks to call Project Sentinel at the information listed on the slide. This will all be covered in great detail on Tuesday, May 25th. Robert and Sarah and our friends over at Project Sentinel and SVILG will be going well into the weeds on all the questions around COVID and evictions and the state laws and the local laws and the rental assistance program. So if you or someone you know is really has a lot of questions, this would be a great follow-up for them. And you can register for that workshop at the link on the slide. Next slide, please. 2 more slides and then I'm out of here. The city of Milpitas has some exciting homelessness response programs. As you may have heard, we are partnering with the county's Office of Supportive Housing and Abode Services. We now have an outreach team that is working in the community, on the street every week, doing assessments of people who are unhoused. And the assessments are if made, are then setting people up for county, for the county's housing system. Also, they're providing all kinds of referrals to other services as needed. So that's been a great addition to our services. The city's also partnering with We Hope, which is a shower and laundry service. Project We Hope is offering services once per week in Milpitas, showers, laundry, hot showers and laundry for several hours every Sunday. So that's also been very helpful. We have also created, Mayor Tran has created a 10-member Milpitas homelessness task force. And our next meeting is next Thursday, third meeting. So they'll be focusing on ideas and helping to develop additional steps to address homelessness in Milpitas. And of course, the staff is working hard. A lot of the behind the scenes work, it's not as flashy as new programs, but it's super important. As you know, homelessness is a huge issue. It's very complicated. There's lots of systems and systems on top of systems. So staff is working closely with the county, with the school district, with nonprofit organizations, as well as other departments in the city to continue to make connections and connect the dots. We have a new webpage with some resources. Hopefully this is fairly easy to remember, as a fairly simple URL, so feel free to share this. And I believe I have one more slide. We also, as part of the outreach team that we have, the county's team, this is a way for the community to work with staff to help deploy that team, as needed. So if there's an encampment or an individual or a family that maybe you think needs some assistance or needs to be assessed, or you're not sure, then just send us an email. It's just as simple as that. You send us an email at housing@ci.milpitas.ca.gov, and the staff will take care of it and make sure that that gets into the queue, and then the team will be deployed, and it'll go from there. So there is now a way for folks to request that service. Next slide. And I promise this is my last slide. Of course, last but not least, homeownership. The city has long had a below market homeownership program, which assists very low and moderate income households with a focus on first-time home buyers. Applications are available on a rolling basis, but the wait times vary. Based on a lot of factors on what's available at that time and sort of other factors of the program. And you can get more information about the homeownership program at the link we have there at the bottom. That's it for me. Happy to answer questions afterwards. Thank you.
Turn it over to Bill. Bill, go ahead and unmute, and whenever you're ready.
Hello, good evening, commissioners, council member. Hope these furry little friends of mine don't put you off your dinner. It's not something you want to eat. We'll be going into more discussion on the next slide as to the similarities and differences between these wild and crazy fun guys. Next slide. The mold, may be gold to litigation lawyers, but definitely not to you and me or anyone else for that matter. So how do we prevent these from growing? How do we protect ourselves from them? Well, we can start by eliminating or taking away the things that foster their growth, like moist, humid environments, little or no light. Immediately throw away food that has evidence of mold or mildew. Clean and disinfect your bathroom and kitchen surfaces regularly, of course, with products that inhibit mold and mildew growth. This is not something you want to have hanging out in your home. If you start experiencing respiratory issues, headaches or worse, you have reason to believe that these may be caused by exposure to mold or spores. Really, you need to get checked out by your doctor. It's nothing in the case of mold to be messing around with allergic reactions, joint pain, neurological issues. It gets pretty complicated for your health if there's essentially, especially more potent mold spores like black mold, which I think we've probably all had some experience or at least some information about. So next slide, please. So we're going to go from mold or mildew to earthquakes, which of course happen suddenly with very little or no warning. I can't stress enough how much these 6 steps should be learned by each and every one of us. Probably all of us here tonight have experienced numerous earthquakes, but how many of us have really taken the necessary precautions such as these? I really believe we should all have provisions in place for the just in case event like an earthquake. Really important is to make a plan, have a person outside of the area that you can relay messages to, and choose a place for your family to meet after a quake. These are things that don't readily come to mind when you're thinking of earthquake preparedness. You think get a kit, you know, the drop cover hold on thing, which by the way, if you're in the home, you should really try to get out of it. The old thing of go into a doorway, it used to be one of the steps, you know, stand in a doorway, because the concept was it's the structure is stronger there. But if you have the time, don't do that. Get out of the structure, get away from the structure as fast as you can. Next slide. So like real estate, you know, location is one of the most important things to consider when installing your smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. For instance, a smoke alarm should not be installed within 10 feet of a stove or a cooktop for kind of obvious reasons, but some people insist on using their smoke alarm as a cooking timer. I'm not a good cook and things get away from me, so probably not a good idea for me to have one of these in proximity to my cooktop, which is probably telling me by the amount of smoke that I probably should pay attention. That's another bad idea. But anyway, seriously, smoke and carbon monoxide alarms have proved over 50 years of use to dramatically reduce the loss of life caused by a fire. So much so that there are no less than 16 sections and subsections of requirements for smoke and CO alarms in the California Residential Code. Next slide. So, you know, speed works to your advantage here if you're fast moving. Fast moving flames require fast moving occupants to clear the structure without getting injured or worse. So any hindrance that slows down that ability to get out of the building quickly, you know, can prove deadly. Know how to unlock and open doors and windows. Keep emergency egress windows and doors clear of obstructions. Don't use keyed deadbolt locks, for instance, on the inside of exit doors. You need to replace those with what they call thumb throw deadbolts. You can get out very quickly. Time is not on your side when a fire gets going in your home, so we need to get you out quickly. This statistic by the U.S. Fire Administration is borne out by statistics. It takes less than 30 seconds for a small flame to burn completely out of control into a major fire. So within minutes, your house can be engulfed with smoke and flame. Next slide. So this was a recent fire emergency in Milpitas. Fortunately, no one was injured. The illegal addition that caught fire also spread quickly to 3 other homes, sheds, and fences before it was put out. So the incident really underscores, I think, the need for a permitted, safe, code-compliant construction, as well as the importance of being prepared for emergencies such as this, and earthquakes, and other natural and man-made disasters. It's really something that I can't impress upon people enough, that we're here to help you make sure that your home is safe by providing the code requirements, which frankly are a low bar in the sense of they offer and provide minimum code requirements. So if you're building a structure and you haven't had the benefit of permits and inspections, you probably are under that bar. So I strongly encourage everybody to go through the process, get your permits, and do it correctly. Next slide. That last slide actually provides a pretty good segue into a conversation of what Milpitas is doing to help make non-permitted ADUs safe, and legal. Under the Safe ADU legalization program, residents will be able to access and complete what we call a Safe ADU checklist. And they'll be able to maintain their anonymity in completing this and reviewing it before they engage with the city to legalize a illegal living unit. Once they contact the program coordinator and set up an inspection for the unit, then at that point, they're committed to following through with the legalization process. And the program is nearing the end of the development stage and will soon be available to residents. I'm very excited to be a part of this. We look forward to having this hopefully online in mid to late June is what I'm looking at currently. Next slide. So in March, here's another example of what Milpitas has done. The ADU Monday program was launched and it was immediately met with a very high level of interest and participation by residents. The online appointment scheduling platform is very simple and easy to use, and you can reserve a 30-minute consultation appointment with staff from various departments to help answer your general questions regarding requirements for construction of your ADU or JADU. It's proven to be a very useful tool and very well received. Or if preferred, the residents can choose to email their questions or visit the city website to review basic information about ADUs in our what we call ADU corner. And with that, this concludes the building safety portion of the presentation, and I'll be glad to answer questions in the Q&A period. And I thank you very much.
For our last slide,
Forgive
me, Chair. We have one last slide here. I was going to introduce Sulema Maji to unmute herself and present the final slide.
Good evening, Council member and commissioners. My name is Sulema Maji. I am the Senior Code Enforcement Officer, and I'm presenting tonight the topic of corner home front yard fence safety. First, the wonderful news is no permit is required, but regulations do apply, such as no 6-foot fences within the front yard setbacks. And yes, please, fences within the front yard setback 35 feet of a residential street corner shall be approved open work and under 42 inches in height. Why, you ask, is this important? These regulations establish basic standards, provide for limited screening and privacy while allowing for open street scenes, unobstructed views of traffic, to and from driveways, and oncoming traffic views at residential street corners. Thank you. That's it.
We'll turn it back to Sharon.
Thank you, Robert. So this slide is pretty self-explanatory. This is the contact information for our department. If you have any questions about building permits, building code questions, any building safety inquiries, you can email us at buildingpermitcenter@ci.milpita.ca.gov. And anything related to housing resources, any inquiries related to affordable housing, you can email our housing team at that address you see on the screen. And for, well, if you're not sure, you can always call our general line at the department, and that's the number you see up there. Staff will be able to direct you to the right team member to assist you. And I was just mentioned earlier, the ADU initiatives that Bill brought up, the ADU Monday program and the Safe ADU legalization program. These were initiatives by Councilmember Chua that received the consensus from council members. So that's why our team has been working on these items. And one's being already implemented, and we're continuing to work on the Safe ADU legalization. Thank you, Robert.
Okay. That, I'll leave the context up. That concludes the presentation. Just want to quickly thank our housing, building safety and housing team for all the work that they do and have continued to do over the past year plus. As you can see from this presentation, we do a varied amount of work across a lot of different fields, even within affordable housing. So just wanted to, again, thank Sharon and the rest of our team for everything that they do. It's a small but mighty team, and really proud to be a part of it. So with that, Chair, I will turn it back to you. If I may, we do have a public comment I would like to get to, if that's okay, and then we can do Q&A after that.
Please, thank you.
Okay. Corey, if you are ready, I'll bring you on, and then you can unmute, and you'll have 3 minutes. I believe we have a timer that IT can put up, if that's possible. Not, you can go ahead and I can just time it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for having us and giving me an opportunity to speak. And thank you everybody for joining this Affordable Housing Month Silicon Valley event. My name is Corey Wolbach. I'm the Community Engagement Senior Associate for SV at Home. It is my pleasure to be here today as part of Milpitas's event and meeting, and this is part of and connected with Silicon Valley at Home's Affordable Housing Month, Silicon Valley. We're really looking forward to a dynamic conversation, and I've already learned a lot from the presentations. Silicon Valley at Home is a membership-based organization dedicated to driving the creation of affordable housing for a more vibrant and equitable Silicon Valley. This year's Affordable Housing Month's theme is Silicon Valley is Home. This month is dedicated to our community. Whether our families have lived here for generations or are just settling in, Silicon Valley is where we live, and we want all of our neighbors to have access to a safe, stable, and affordable home. We invite you, everybody who's here tonight, whether from the city or just a member of the public, we invite you to register and attend more Affordable Housing Month events at bit.ly/SV Housing Month 2021 to learn, act, and join our Houser movement. Also, I encourage you to support the work of SV at Home and become a member if you'd like at bit.ly/SVH member. Again, we thank you for having this conversation and thank everybody for coming. And please remember and let your neighbors know that Silicon Valley is home.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wolbach. Did you can put in the chat, or you can provide us your information, so if anybody is interested, they can do a follow-up with your contact.
And Chair, if I may, what we'll do is when we get that information, we'll be sure to email out the link that Mr. Wolbach puts in the chat and a copy of the presentation to the CAC as well.
Thank you very much, Robert. Q&A, do we have any questions for the city presentation regarding the affordable housing and building safety month?
Yes, there were two questions. There were two questions in the chat that we can get to, and then we can open it up to the commissioners for Q&A.
Thank you.
So the first question comes from the chair. I believe this is for Adam. Did we meet the old housing goals that were listed on the screen? And I can pull those up. Just give me a second.
Sure, good question, Chair. The answer is yes and no. We met our above moderate, which means our market rate goals. We well exceeded those probably by the time we were halfway through the cycle. So that number there, 1151, yes, absolutely. We went well beyond that. For the rest of the numbers, though, moderate, low, and very low, we did not. Those require subsidy, and subsidy programs are in short supply, and the city's own ability to subsidize housing is limited. So still plenty of work to do on the affordable side.
Thank you. I would like to have a follow-up for that question. I truly understand what you're telling us, but if for 2023 to 2031, we are kind of doubling the requests or the needs. Seems that we have a lot of work to do regarding how to meet the very low, even moderate housing units is there any plan or anything that will be discussed as part of the new housing plan for 2023-2031 to be sure that we can not just put numbers of what it is required by goals that are stated by the need or by the state, but actually figures that we can work within Milpitas to be sure that we can come as close as we can to meet the goal of what is there.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm understanding your question, we don't get to pick the numbers. The numbers are determined by the state, and then they're given to the Bay Area, and then the Bay Area has to figure out how to distribute them amongst the different cities and counties. So while that 6713 number, could shift slightly, it's very unlikely it'll change at this point. There is an appeal process, but it's very narrow in what you can do. So, but what I will say is that everyone's getting numbers that are beyond ambitious. The problem is so big. So we're not alone in that respect. And so there's, I think the state knows that we can't do it, but we have to make a good faith effort to do as much as we can do. And there are more resources anticipated. That the state has a surplus right now. There's potentially bills for both for all types of new housing, I should say very low and moderate income housing programs, both at the state and the federal level. They're talking about a bill that would potentially double the amount of money available for affordable housing in California. So, it'll require a lot of more money from the federal government and the state to get even close. But what we have to do is decide where that could go if there was money to build it. And then there's, of course, in that housing element, there's definitely a part of it where we have to talk about programs and policies that we can put in place in Milpitas that will make it easier for projects to come together.
And Adam, there was a follow-up question from Commissioner Sridhar. So what is the city doing to achieve or inch closer to the number, and just how short are we?
Oh, I don't have that number in front of me. But I mean, we really haven't done a ton of new in the last 4 or 5 years. We haven't brought on or issued building permits for a lot of very low or moderate income units. A lot of the housing that came through recently was before we had an affordable housing ordinance. So we didn't get as many inclusionary units as we might have had it been in place. In Sango Court, which is one of our most recent standalone affordable housing developments, has been struggling to compete for bond financing for various, not anything wrong with the project. There's a backlog of Bay Area projects because it's expensive to build here. So to answer your question, I think there are small opportunities. Of course, ADUs are great, but that's only part of the puzzle. We have to look at everything. So we have to look at ADUs. We have to look at, we know of at least, one developer who's interested in switching from a market rate project into an affordable project, but that would require subsidy, probably from several sources. And sometimes those require the city to partner with the developer. So I think being open to those kind of partnerships help. And as new programs come available, new grant programs at the state level, a lot of times those are for developers to go after, but sometimes there's a role for the city as well. But at the end of the day, what's really important is the subsidy, is having that, no one builds these unless there's subsidy.
And one quick follow-up from the commissioners: how can we incentivize this on a policy level? Is that something you can speak to, or perhaps Sharon can speak to?
Well, there's a lot of things. I mean, that's really what you kind of hit the nail on the head, is for the next year and a half, we're going to be the housing element is going to look at what the need is in Milpitas, and then it's going to look at all the ideas that are out there. I mean, there's tons of ideas out there, and figure out which ones make the most sense for Milpitas. Each city in Santa Clara County has its own unique constraints and opportunities. You know, I'll just give you an example. We have two specific plan areas, you know, over by the BART station, and recently there's been some discussion about Main Street and the Gateway area. So those are big opportunities that other cities don't have that we have. So I think part of it is planning and figuring out where housing can go. And then when I say housing, I mean multifamily housing. And then also, you know, continuing to look for those opportunities wherever we can find them. But yeah, there's a long list, and I won't bore you with them now, but I would definitely encourage you to get engaged with the housing element process once that gets kicked off. And as we go along through that, there will be a point where we'll be looking at a long list of ideas and needing to narrow those down for Milpitas.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners?
There was one other question in the chat that I'll just, it was from Commissioner Sridhar, and it was about the current wait time for BMR units. If I'd just touch base with Sarah about this, if Sarah would unmute and just provide a response to the commissioner's question about wait times for BMR units.
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is Sarah, housing planner with the city. I'm helping with the administration of the below market rate housing program. So it does depend on a variety of factors. At this time, homes only become available for sale when a current BMR homeowner decides to sell their unit. So, it is kind of a slow turnover, and our waiting list is quite long. So, it could be several years long at this point, but, as we start to increase our housing stock of very low and moderate income homes, that could start to turn over a little bit quicker. So it is hard to say, but, especially due to the pandemic, there was a large volume of applications coming in over the past year, and our waiting list is quite long. But yeah, you can feel free to email me or the general housing email address with specific questions as it relates to BMR. And there's also a lot of information on our webpage and on the application. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Thank you, Sarah. I have a follow-up question with regard to this. When you say several years, are we talking 10 years, 20 years? Only because I've come across a couple of families who are looking, who might qualify for something like this, but we just wanted to see so they can plan ahead, and how do they get on the list, and is this realistic if they have 15, 16-year-old individuals with disabilities that are living with them. So that's a question. And I have one more follow-up question about the first-time home buyer thing. What if there's been a change of circumstance or situation with the family? Like, for instance, they're going through a divorce, or there's been a death in the family, and one of the spouses or one of the partners is having to look at home ownership again, but affordable home ownership. Could you talk through?
Sure. Again, the answer to both of those questions is quite variable. It really is hard to give an exact estimate on the number of, how long the waiting list is, just because we can't determine how many homes become available or for sale in any given year. There could be years where many homeowners decide to sell for whatever reason, and there could be years when, it's lower. So, and we also, it'll depend on how, quickly new developments come up, where a portion of that development will be allocated to very low or moderate income households. But, if I were to just give a general guess, I would say it's at least 2 to 3 years long at this point. But I would definitely just recommend getting on the waiting list as soon as possible, just, to be on there and, and to, just have that as an option in the future. And I'm sorry, can you repeat your second question? Was it about the household circumstances change?
Yeah, when there's been a change of circumstance. So if there's, it says must be a first-time home buyer. So there is a situation if there's been a life change. For instance, there's been a death of the main, and they've lost their home, or for that matter, if there's been a divorce and the person is not really a first-time home buyer, but is in a situation where they're able to buy another home. So how does that, how would that work?
Sure. I mean, I would say it's really on a case-by-case basis. So we would probably just speak with that applicant about their personal situation. If they are experiencing a hardship for a specific reason, we can always talk through that with them and kind of come to a conclusion together. So I wouldn't hesitate to apply. If something is going on, I would say reach out to me directly and we can all have a conversation about it.
So we can facilitate an introduction to you, Sarah?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. And
Robert, I have a question.
Sorry, Chair. We do have a hand raised from Commissioner Rosario. Just wanted to alert you to that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Please, Mr.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. It's just a comment because with regards to affordable housing, right now there's a current construction in my neighborhood here in North Park, Victoria and Craig Street. And the houses there are single family. The asking, the cost of the house now is 2.1 to 2.5 million. So they are very expensive. How would you make a comments on that one? Because really these are very expensive houses now. They are currently under construction by Robson Homes. Any comments on that?
Yes, sir.
Please, Adam, or
I can respond to that, Commissioner. Thank you for the question. So yes,
okay.
For this, and I don't think this is breaking news, but this will probably be one of the last single-family home developments in the city of Milpitas. The Robson Homes development will be providing 4 affordable homes for sale in accordance with the Affordable Housing Ordinance. We are currently working with the developer on our regulatory agreement and the pricing of those below market rate homes. So I don't have those figures in front of me at the moment, but they are private. They are a private developer, and that seems to be the cost of housing in the Bay Area at the moment for brand new construction. But I will share that we do have those 4 affordable homes that the City Council did really push for last year. Forgive me, I don't have the date in front of me. But yes, Commissioner Rosario, that's a very astute observation by you. But you should know that there is affordable housing being developed at that site.
Yeah, I got a text on that one from associate of Robson, and the starting cost is 2.1 to 2.5. And those are 4 bedrooms houses. Just a comment, okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Robert, I have a follow-up question regarding the rent relief program. What is, if part of the criteria for that program involves residency status?
Maybe just a quick follow-up. Milpitas residency, or are you saying U.S. residency?
U.S. residency.
That is not a requirement of the program, but Milpitas residency is a requirement of the program.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Robert.
No problem. We have one hand up from Commissioner Gandhi.
Yeah, so I had a question about the ADU. So are we gonna be, I know that you guys are piloting the program to legalize ADU starting in next couple of months, as you mentioned and all. But with the ADUs, are we gonna consider that as a part of this BMR or the low level income?
It will, Sharon or Bill, if you'd like to, I think I can speak to this. I just want to make sure that I know the ADU is more a planning and building program, but from a below market rate standpoint, they will not be considered affordable housing. The hope with ADUs is that given the size and the space considerations, that they will automatically sort of default into a more affordable price for a residency than other units. And I don't have this information in front of me, so I don't want to be quoted on this, but I believe there's some instances where the state considers the ADU a moderate income household or a moderate income unit for construction purposes, which technically falls into the affordable category of moderate income. But there is not going to be, say, a deed restriction or anything limiting the income on those ADUs. That will not happen. And I hope that answers your question, Commissioner. I'm sorry if it doesn't.
No, it does answer my question, Robert. So.
Okay. All right. I don't see any other hands raised. Is there any other questions for staff? All right. Well, that concludes.
Thank you very much for the staff for the presentation. Thank you very much. You gave us a lot of information that is going to help us as TSC to promote and to look for how we can support the city on these items that are so important for our community. Okay, so we're going to number 10. Yes.
Very well, if you will. I would just like to answer a couple of questions that were brought up on the Robson homes. They're building 10 ADUs on top of the garage. So that I just wanted to share that. And Robert is right. It's probably the last few single family homes in Milpitas because we don't have any more land. And it's Robson Homes. They're good partners. They help us. They're very good in terms of development because they work and partner with our housing team and our planning team. And also I would like to thank again Sharon's team for all these initiatives that I brought forth, and they're almost in fruition. I mean, it's getting there. I'm really excited, from the ADU Mondays to safe legalization program from Bill, and also a little bit of a change in the affordable housing ordinance for building the 15% instead of paying housing fees. So I'm very excited about that as well. So thank you, team. You guys are awesome. And also I want to share that last few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to put in a proposal to the federal level through the office of Congressman Rokana. So we were able to put in a request for $10.5 million, and this is my vision to this is to put more teeth into the ADUs and the legalization program, and also for maintaining more affordable housing to the city. So we cross our fingers. It's a long shot, but we hope we get it. So we will know, I hope soon. So I'm excited about that as well. So thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Good questions, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilwoman Joy. You are amazing. Thank you for your work, your hard work. City liaison reports. Council member, do you have any?
Well, that's me.
any
Yes, I only have two, and that's the dumpster day that Mayor Tran introduced. I don't know if anybody heard about it. And there's only like 50 slots. It's going to happen on May 22nd, where you can bring your truckload of debris to the Milpitas Community Center, and they have like bins to put them in. So I think we have a waiting list, and we're working with city staff to make it, you know, more like a monthly thing for a few months. So that's good news. I was gonna get on it and sign up, but I was too late. I didn't even get to log on. And also, I reached out to Valley Waters, and within a few days, the staff already made an arrangement for a cleanup day. I'm excited about this one too. This is the first time we're going to have a cleanup. It's going to be on May 15, Saturday, from 11 to 1 p.m. And it's going to be at the Higuera Adobe Park and Creek. We're going to do a cleanup there for 2 hours. And because of pandemic, we were limited to 50 participants, volunteers. So there is a flyers, and maybe I could ask Robert to send the flyer to the commissioners if they want to sign up. Please come.
Absolutely.
It's always fun to do a cleanup. I've done it several times together with the CAC the last couple of years, right? Where we clean up one of the parks and one of the mobile home parks. It's fun. So hope to see you there. And thank you. We'll see you next month. Oh no, we'll see you this Friday, right? Are the commissioners going to be there on Friday? Robert?
For the CDBG special meeting or for the study session. Yes, we will make sure to send out the link to the and the agenda for the event.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, council member.
Thank you. City staff report.
Nothing from city staff, Chair.
Thank you very much. With no more items on the agenda except for the last one, the adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you for being so quick. Anybody wants to second her motion?
Second.
Thank you,
And
Mr. Council.
And this is Vishal, I third it.
Thank you, Michelle. Let's vote it. Commissioner Trong,
Yes, of course.
Commissioner Batillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Eileen,
Yes.
Commissioner Sridhar.
Yes, I made the motion.
Oh, sorry. And me too. So thank you very much for being here. We are a little bit over between the 8:30, so we are within the timing. So thank you again for the staff for your great work, and looking forward, Robert, for the information that you are going to send us.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
We adjourn the meeting.
Oscar, Chair, excuse me.
Yes.
Who seconded the adjournment?
Jose.
Jose. Thank you,
Yes.
Commissioner.
Even a third one from Commissioner Gandhi, but we only go for the first and second. Thank you to all.